Okay, this is Margaret Blair Young interviewing Robert Groberg Blair. And for me, he's Bobby, my little brother, 3 years younger than I am. So, Bobby, tell me about what life was like for you prior to your encounter with the Stadium Gate.
Sports has always been a big thing in my life. So, I guess prior to that, I'd gone to BYU Hawaii. I tried out for their tennis team, and I think they took 10 people. I think I was probably, about number seven on the team. Only six players really play in the matches. But one, I think maybe our number one player dropped out, and then so I got in the rotation. So I just finished playing just for a semester collegiate tennis. I just joined the Army Reserve, and I was on Ranger Unit, and we would do some different things. Oh, when I say Ranger Unit, this was ROTC. So I had joined the ROT. Not only had I joined the reserves, but I was also on the ROTC, and I was thinking of doing a military career. And part of being with the reserves, I had to do drills. So we had one of the drills. Got to go shoot M16s. Also ran 4 miles. I did that in 25 minutes.
Wow.
So I was, not a runner, but I was playing. I was playing basketball. Wow, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a week. Um, and just being able to run 4 miles without a without a problem. In just holding a little over 6 minutes a mile on that. So I was in. I would say I was in fabulous shape at the time. Very athletic, playing a lot of sports, going to going to school, but my love was really sports. That was, and just thinking of a possibility of a military career, what I would what I would do with that.
And it was September 25th.
September 25th, 1982, and the night before I'd been out with my ROTC Ranger group, and we were doing some night games, some different things. So I'd been out pretty late the night before, and then that morning, remember it was a crisp autumn morning. It was the opening game of the new stadium. They just expanded the stadium, I think from 50,000 to fit like 65,000 people. And I was a ticket taker taking tickets at the game. I just remember I was having a good time, joking with people as they were coming in, and just the feeling in the air. This opening football game, and also I remember President Holland came by and just said hi, and that was just kind of a okay, hey, this is cool, and I felt on top of the world. Um, how would I compare it? Maybe in the movie Titanic, when Leonardo DiCaprio is on the bow and he goes, "I'm king of the world." Um, I There was somewhat of that feeling.
That's
And
an appropriate
it's
analogy.
right before you hit this iceberg. But at the time, so it was a really good day. I was having a good time, earning just a little bit of money. Taking tickets, so I just thought it was gonna be a great day.
And the game was noonish.
Oh, I honestly don't remember. I just remember we were in the first quarter, so the majority of people had come in. There's still a lot of latecomers, and my boss came by and told me to go out and kind of move the crowds. So they're not just standing at one gate, help them move. And for that reason, now I'm on the other side of the gate from the other ticket takers. So just a simple thing, hey, go out, work with the crowd, move them along. And so I did that, and then I was asked to come back and shut one of the gates. And I just remember, this is south side of the stadium. And there was like one other ticket taker there, and the other ticket takers on the other side because I'd been out with the people. So I went to, and the gates are, I don't know, a foot and a half up on concrete things, and then they have rollers. So I was pulling with this other ticket taker, and we couldn't get the gate to budge. It was too heavy for the two of us, just even on rollers. And so the next thing I remember, a bunch of other ticket takers came, and then as we pulled, I could feel the gate beginning to roll, and then it began to roll pretty fast. And that's really my last memory for a number of hours. And that's interesting that you have this memory of this gate starting to roll, and then you have this blank spot for a number of hours. But that's what it is.
And September 25th was our dad's birthday, and he
Yes.
actually was at the game.
So he's at the game.
And he heard over the intercom Robert Blair, was it go to the hospital? Or
No, I don't think it was go to the hospital, but come down to the information center. Come down. We have news or something for you.
but he thought that probably mom had been in a car crash.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think, is this maybe mom had called? Because I think maybe they had phoned home to mom, or the hospital.
I think
had called.
because mom was already at the hospital.
Okay.
They got in touch with her, and she was already there. So
Yes.
he didn't know what had happened
Right.
until he got to the hospital. When mom got there,
And she didn't know either.
No, she
heard
thought
that
she was gonna-
I've been hit with the gate, and so she's expecting to go. I'm getting a few stitches, and she shows up, and it's like, oh, this is life and death.
and basically she entered the emergency room, and as soon as she was there and saying that she was looking for Robert Blair, she could hear people say, "It's the mother, it's the mother." And then realized very shortly that it was extremely serious. She called her dad and talked to him. She was just completely beside herself. And then when our dad arrived, and I believe he walked from the stadium to the hospital, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think he's with Jim.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Um,
And when he came in, mom said, "Bobby's dying." That's
Yeah,
that's my memory from what mom had said. They had a birthday party for dad. Not really a party. We didn't really do birthday parties, but mom had given dad a shaver.
Okay.
That comes into play a little bit later at a subsequent. So it was his birthday, and then he was led into you.
Yeah. And that's the first memory I have, is seeing dad there. And he was saying, I'd said other things, but this is the first thing that I recollect is looking up and seeing my dad, and looking at my body and just seeing all these different tubes. And I had worked at the state hospital before, and some of the patients I'd worked with had some of these tubes. So I knew things were pretty serious. And it's just like, not knowing what's happened and seeing my dad. And I just remember, looking up and just, sort of like, what happened, trying to say that. And then one of the nurses just, putting, I think it was a male nurse, putting his finger to his mouth and just going, "Shh, you're in extremely critical condition."
Which was
Which,
comforting.
Yeah, which was true, but it's like, I don't even know what's happened. I'm just laying here. I'm trying to figure out what
Yeah.
has happened.
And then from there, stabilizing you was a really big deal. You went through a number of transfusions in the ER and then subsequently.
Yeah. I'm at the Provo Hospital, and they're getting me stabilized, doing what they can. But I think they don't have an expert or someone that feels that he can deal with the broken pelvis that I have.
Right.
That the University of Utah, they have this Dr. Hoffman or something that has more expertise. And so I think the main goal here, get me stabilized, do what they can, and then in time they'll transport me to the University of Utah. That surgery will be done. I know there were other surgeries done at the Provo Hospital, but that's
You
that's
started
my memory.
living with extreme pain from the as soon as you were admitted to the ER.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is a lot of pain. I'm getting morphine. I'm getting some other drugs, and the morphine really would take the pain away. You get a shot of morphine, and it's really I'm not feeling the pain. The other medications would lessen the pain some. The pain wouldn't go away. So maybe I'm at a 10, 0 to 10, 10 being this is just unbearable pain, agonizing. The medications maybe would take it down to a 4 or 5, whereas the morphine
Yeah.
would take it down to a 0, or at least somehow
Yeah.
I'm not able to feel that.
Yeah. And I was in Venezuela at the time. I came home. Dad, you were in the University of Utah Hospital, and I remember riding up to the floor with Dad, and I remember saying, "I don't think I can do this. I'm just going to start crying." And Dad said, "Margaret, I will not take you in if you're going to cry. You have to promise me you won't cry. We are telling jokes. We're having a good sense of humor. Do you think you can do this? Because if you can't, I'm not going to take you." And I said, okay, I need a minute. And I tried to think of stupid jokes that we could tell you. I read you the Holcroft Covenant at one point, and then you finished it before I got there the next time. But I did look at Reader's Digest jokes, and Dad let me go in. And it's, what do you say to somebody who you've known for all of his life as being extremely active, hyperactive, and in this condition where he can't move at all, and the tubes are all still there. What do you say? How are you doing? How can you answer that?
And from my perspective, it's nice to have people come in and visit, and I think especially family, that you feel like you don't have to talk to them. You have enough of a relationship. Sometimes when people come in that you don't know as well, you feel sort of an obligation to talk, and sometimes that would be difficult when you're in a lot of pain. But like if you'd come and read me the Holcroft Covenant or something else, that was nice. That I would try to focus on that, and that would sort of divert me from just thinking about all the pain that I'm in.
Yeah.
So it was always nice to have family,
And the Cave Girls. You should mention the Cave Girls.
Yeah, I there were just some girls I'd known. When I was going to college, we'd play volleyball or doing some different things, and they came to visit. These I don't think I'd really dated them. We'd do parties or things like that. So they were nice girls. And that was nice. There was some
And they were dressed up
distraction
as cave girls.
as cave
and
girls.
I think they sang a song or did some kind of entertainment.
So
but
that
it was
that was fun. Anything like that, anything to distract me from the reality of what I was having to deal with was nice. And if you look at sort of the stages, Kubler-Ross stages of death and dying, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. I think I was going through a lot of that. Probably right at the first, it's more denial. Okay, this.
I'm going to wake up from this.
I'm going to wake up. Well, yeah, this is a nightmare. This isn't really happening, or this isn't near as serious as it seems to be. I'm going to be back 100%. I'm going to do this. So that's where I'm at. It's like, oh, this really sucks. But hopefully, things aren't going to be permanent.
So, talk about the deepest level of despair you got to, and how you moved out of it into resiliency,
Well, I
or
don't know
steps
that
towards resiliency.
Well, at one time, I'm just in incredible pain, and I remember one of the residents. This was probably at the University of Utah. Came by, and I just talked to him, and I said, "Will I be able to play basketball again?" And he looked at me and he said, "You'll be lucky if you ever walk again." And it's just like, that's not what I want to hear. I want to hear something else. But there was a time that my dad brought me some tapes about a man who had been severely burned. And he was talking about his journey through that. And at the end of the tape, he quoted a scripture where it says, "There'll be no trial beyond what you can bear." And I remember at that point just praying, closing my eyes and just praying, and I just said, "God, this is more than I can bear. Let me die." And at the time, I'm in critical condition, and I felt that I was close enough to death that I could really, I could close my eyes and leave and choose to die. And I made that choice, and death just seemed so sweet to be able to escape this pain, to be able to escape, that this future that's looking real bleak. So I guess there's a part of me that is saying, no, this is just temporary, and then there's another part that's going, no, this this is a life changer. And so just hearing that tape, and I just remember it's just saying, I choose death. I choose death over having to go through this if I have this choice. And I made that choice, and really went to close my eyes and sort of preparing myself for death. And as I did that, I felt a strength coming on beyond my own, because I was tapped out. This was everything that I could bear and more. But that was interesting. In some ways, I would say that was miraculous. And to me, that was sort of a sign from God that's saying, maybe you don't have the strength. I'll give you the strength to, I'm not going to take this cup from you, but I'll give you the strength to deal with this.
Beautiful.
And I remember at the time saying, okay, I won't die right now. I'll keep that as an option.
Yeah.
But at least for right now, I will go on. And so that was helpful. And I think it also helped me look at death different. I think a lot of people look at death and think, oh, that's such a horrible thing. At the time, death seemed like the sweetest, easiest escape than having to deal with what I knew would be very difficult physical therapy and other things to get.
In fact, you probably underestimated how
I'm sure. Yeah. And I tend to do that. I think I tend to overestimate my abilities, but it was like I knew this was going to be incredibly hard, and death would have been much, much easier.